the years I've become increasingly critical of this idea that the body survives by storing fat, and that we've been evolved over caveman times and everything to be fat and lazy and get rid of muscle, and this idea of the starvation mode and everything like that. So the next couple of videos are more ideas and thoughts to think about, that maybe this whole idea of losing fat or losing muscle at the expense of fat or whatever may be a little bit skewed a little bit. Today's video, I'm questioning what's really more important for the survival of the human body. We have this idea that, oh, if we don't get enough, or if we're working out too much, that the body's going to start dumping muscle like crazy, burning muscle so it can save fat because that's what's supposedly more important towards your survival. But is it really? Think of what fat does for the body, generally. I mean, there's lots of things that, of course, it does, but the primary importance of the fat on our body is to use as energy, as a reserve for when we don't have enough calories coming in, okay? So that's the main thing. It also has, of course, structural properties, because many of the cells in the body do have a fat component to it, and of course, to a certain degree, warmth. If we were in colder climates and so forth, we needed fat on our bodies to stay warm. But then, of course, that's region specific. If you were in the middle of South Africa, you didn't not need it to stay warm. But energy is the primary thing. Now, the thing to keep in mind is we did not survive by storing fat. We survived by burning fat. The idea of we survive by storing fat is kind of like saying, well, you're financially sound as long as you have this huge amount of savings in the bank account, and your house goes into foreclosure, your car's being repoed, you don't have enough money to put food on the table, but as long as you have money in the bank account, that's going to do you well. No, it doesn't. It only does it well if you actually spend it, if you use the fat. Okay? Now let's look at muscle. What does muscle do? It's almost every single function of the human body, from the beating of your heart to being able to move around. That's what you need muscle for. It's not like this trivial stuff that we don't really need. Provides warmth, again, through motion. I used to have a hell of a time staying warm when I was younger, when I was 150 pounds. Now I'm nearly 180 pounds with 30 extra pounds of muscle. It's a lot easier for me to stay warm. But most importantly, we often talk about our fight and flight mechanism to survive, fighting off saber-toothed tigers and everything like that. If you don't have much muscle, you don't have much fight or flight. Yes, you know, adrenaline kicks in and everything like that, but our abilities to do everything from building houses to finding food and hunting and fighting off predators and everything like that came down more to how much muscle you've got than how much fat you have. If you had very little fat but a lot of muscle, you could still be a badass warrior who could fight off people and survive. But if you had a lot of fat and very little muscle, you're screwed. Even back then, you're screwed. Okay, and then of course finally injury. The more strength and more muscle you may have, the less injury you're susceptible to, the more stabilization you have in your joints, the less stress on bones and ligaments, and all these sorts of things that are very important towards your survival come from muscle and through burning off fat. In the next video, I'm going to talk about why we may in fact have this idea that fat is more important towards survival, because it's a modern day concept. Okay? Till then, be fit, live free.